It is on the table. It's yet another conversation. Season 2, episode 14 and a half and 15. You know, we always mess this one up. But my name is Seppi.
I'm DJ Black Velvet Khomotso.
Church Girl is also here.
And guess who's in the building? Dr. Kim. Welcome back again.
Thank you for having me.
We love having you. That's
love
why we
being
brought
here.
you in back again. Because we love the conversation we had the last
Yeah.
time. And today is yet another conversation we should have. And of course, thanks to Via. If you don't know who Via is, today I want to read it properly. I want you guys to understand what Via does. I want you to understand how impactful this brand is. Okay, so Via is a digital platform that speaks to women's sexual health. Speak to my soul. It's a movement that wants to get women speaking freely and boldly about their sexual health. All right? It is a platform that reassures women that sexual health is not taboo, but I mean on the table. This is what we do. And that Via is a safe space that you could share about your sexual health. Mic drop.
Yes.
Mic drop. We don't get those. We don't get those enough. So today we're talking all things menstrual health. The period. If you've skipped your period,
You guys, stick around.
But it's fine. You can go to our previous conversation that we had, episode 13. Then you'll see why you skipped your period, honey. You'll know why you skipped your period. As always, the VIA team gave us conversation cards. And I love starting it off. We did that last week. We want to do it today as well. Let's start off these with conversations. I chose cards because I know you guys went safe. And you see the ladies are holding their cards. Where's yours?
I
gave it back to you.
I took it.
I chose a card for someone.
All right.
Can I just throw the
start.
question out and you guys decide who wants to answer?
No.
Do I have to pick someone?
Just go ahead.
Dr. Kim.
Oh no.
I mean,
Okay.
you know, you're the guest. What part of your body is the most sensitive, or where do you like to be kissed?
I mean, where we all like to be kissed, right?
Wait.
Down there.
Mouthtown, as Khumutso said.
When you said it, I actually thought the neck would have been your
No,
first
like
option.
I'm not really sensitive on the neck.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your nipples?
Not really.
They
But
don't feel
strangely, my palms are really sensitive. Like it's so strange. So don't touch. My palms are really sensitive. So like if my partner like kisses me there, like, oh, it's terrible.
Terrible.
Like terribly nice.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay, Doc, your question.
I feel like this is such a chilled question after that. Can
I
I
told you
take someone else?
that is why
You give me-
I
I want to surprise you. Okay, who's going to answer this?
You choose.
And don't look at me just because I asked you.
I feel like I need revenge.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's sweet.
I'm going to pray for you.
What are your worries when it comes to your sex life or intimate life?
You know, I do. That's a very good question. So my concern, I think I've also mentioned it here on the show in the previous episodes. I don't know how to give a blowjob.
Okay.
Ne?
I big
And-
come let me school you. Girl, no. Oh, okay.
Or I think I don't know. I don't feel confident in giving a blowjob, and I think I also don't like giving. Why must your dick be in my mouth, Doc?
Oh my word.
Why must your V
Go
be in his
lickety
life?
Maybe he likes it.
Okay.
Okay,
No,
okay.
strangely, nobody actually teaches you how to, right? Because what do you practice on, right?
She was willing.
www.
X videos.
So my worry is, I mean, I do talk to my partner about it, and you know, so it's what I think he wants. And not necessarily what he does want. Sometimes I feel like maybe man, just go down on this guy, no. But then I'm like, no.
Can I
What
give you
now?
any like advice that you can go try out on him and we'll
And
No, come on, it's not that hard, guys. Yo, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. Just take the thing, chuff it in your mouth. Listen to how he moans. If he's moaning, you're doing something right. Keep going. That's all.
Problem is if they're quiet, right? After 10 minutes, then you're kind of demotivated. What do you do then?
Baba, me, I slap you.
We need to talk to your partner. I'm a bit worried about it.
How he moans, dog?
I don't know. I only
That works for me. I listen to how he moans. It really works for me. I listen to how he moans. I play with his testicles. Guys, that those balls, they are there for a reason. Touch those things. I don't know what they call that thin skin between the balls and the anus. I don't know what they call.
I see that.
Touch that spot, girl.
The
Touch
way
it.
they don't want because they feel like you're going straight up there.
No.
Bums.
Have that discussion with him before, but touch it.
There
It
we
works.
go, Nolu.
You know, that's why I said maybe I think it's all me and not necessarily him. It's all in my head. I think he might want one because he's never said, come on, go down. Why have you never gone? No.
It's just you.
And it's not that I've never done it also, but it's just not something I feel comfortable doing because I think I'm doing it wrong. I think that's my biggest concern. Is that I think I'm doing it wrong.
Okay.
That's why I love these cards. They're such great conversation starters.
Yes.
Best advice, dog?
Best advice I ever received from my best friend like a year ago when
Yeah.
she gave me a lesson, a 30-minute lesson on how to give a proper blowjob was start slow, right? Be prepared for 15 to 20 minutes of work.
What?
Yes. You need to
Tiring
put
the
the work
thing.
in, right? And use all your faculties. Use your hands, use your mouth.
You just spit.
And you need to
your
be
spit.
moaning as well.
Use your tongue.
Because like that tells the guy that like you're excited to be doing this.
Use
Yeah.
lots
It's not
of
a
spit.
chore.
It's not a cute sight. It's
Practice
not.
your jaw.
Yeah, you're not gonna look pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you've not
Just
gonna
put it
look
in your
pretty.
tongue, guys.
Next question.
The things we do.
I need to
Okay.
drink the holy water. and
Dr.
all
Kim,
of
oh,
you.
did you ask the
Yes,
question?
she
Yes, you
asked
asked the
me.
question. Khumuzo, do you want to steal a card? Pick a box.
Tepi,
Oh, man.
what are the 3 things you love about your physical appearance? You have permission to brag.
1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Yeah, I like my boobs. I'm working on my bum. So I'm gonna like that in about 6 months or so. And what else?
Your vagina.
My tongue and what it. Oh, my vagina is a given. Hey.
Yes.
My vagina when it's freshly waxed. Oh, it's my favorite thing in the world. Those are the 3 physical attributes that I like. One last one for me just before we start.
She's peeking. She's peeking, Seppi. She's checking.
I'm not gonna ask you because she's already seen.
All of them.
Let me go to this better half.
Hey.
How do you communicate that you are in the mood for sex? Love that. Both of you, take your time.
I'm definitely taking my time.
Like it's a really shy thing, right? I feel like if we're in bed, like just gonna like scoot the butt a little bit, right?
The age-old tactic.
And hope you get a response, right? But I don't know, like there's always Netflix, just like let's watch some Netflix and chill.
I can't believe women.
Trying to think
No,
what
look.
I do.
Awesome, Jonga. Next door.
No. Answer.
So I would usually say, come to bed. I miss you.
Okay.
Khumut, outside of
like a busy.
taking off his pants.
Me, I go straight.
See.
Me, I go there. I don't beat around the bush. I go there. I'm like, baby, I want you. Go.
Hey.
Now, can we please? Kubuhlungu though when he says no, but when he says yes, adiyalla papa. That's all. I'm just open.
Okay.
I want
Thank
to.
you so much. These are the cards from Via, and you can. Do you guys have them for sale? No.
No, they're
Giveaways.
for us. They're for us.
You guys should sell them, man. Take this thing, package it, and sell it. Okay.
Yes.
At Via Health ZA, that's all social media platforms. And of course, via.health, that's their website. You can go on and learn more about your sexual health. We're talking all things menstrual health. None of us call it that. In regular conversation, we call it periods. Chronicles of the periods. Let's call it that.
Oh, I'm sure they call it Aunt Susie as well, right? The
Yes.
red robot,
Yes, the red
Auntie
robot.
Flo.
We hate her.
Yes.
I've recently heard Ferrari.
Ferrari.
Yeah.
If you've been kokwasi kiswalo sicho, awudlala swalo sisiyangena.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that would be men. Pardon me, I'm from Tembisa. But let's start. Why? I want to start with the basic. Why the bloating, guys? Why the bloating just before we go on our periods? And the constipation. None of you experience the constipation?
No,
I have.
My stomach actually works during that time.
Do you get bloated at all, guys?
I
Yes. The bloating is there. In fact, my entire body.
In fact, what common symptoms do you experience just before your period?
I'm nauseous. I'm bloated. Like and I look so good when I'm on my period. Not like today now. I look good, but but like my face, the yellow bonish, and I just glow. But you would literally swear I'm pregnant just before I get my period.
And then when you're on your period, everything almost sort of returns
Everything
to
like
normal.
goes south. When I'm on my period, it's like I haven't even washed. When I've washed, I look tired. I'm groggy. I sound groggy as well. It's just my energy levels are also quite low.
Shucks. Khomozo?
I get bloated. I fart a lot. I'm moody. I snap. My boobs hurt. What else? I eat a lot. I crave fatty things. I just don't like it.
Doc, do you hear the chronicles we go through? Do you
Yes.
hear these things that we all go through? Because it's tough there by the periods, man. You don't just wake up one day and like,
PMS is a real thing, premenstrual syndrome.
then why do we experience all of this?
It's because of the changes in the hormones, right? The fluctuation of estrogen and progesterone that ultimately cause all of this.
Then thank God we go on our period. But then now,
Yes.
I've got diarrhea.
Yo.
Yes.
On my period, there's two things I have to worry about. I have to worry about the blood coming out of here, managing that, and also to manage the back.
And the diarrhea.
And the diarrhea, dog. Give me a break.
I mean, some people would say, I'll take that any day versus like the psychological despair that comes with it. So some people get so depressive, like so depressive to the point where they cry. A taxi hoots at them and they cry, right? And it can be so debilitating, right? Some people come in and say, I can't do this. Like, I lost my job because I snapped. And I'm always like having disciplinary hearings when I'm on my periods because I can't get out of bed. I'm so sad. Like, and every other time I'm fine. Like after that, I'm completely fine.
What causes not what causes the period pains, but how can you tell when it's a normal period pain and then when it's an abnormal one? Now, my reason for asking is that in high school, a friend of mine, she used to get them so bad, like she would literally crawl on the floor in pain.
Okay, so everyone's pain threshold is different, right? But I would say anyone who has pain that's so debilitating that they can't function, right? That is definitely something that you should seek attention for.
Or get your boyfriend to buy you something.
No, my
Medical attention.
we can't function, Jay, when we're on a period, Jay. Pain or no pain.
I've been saying this for the longest time. We should just be allowed to be off for that week.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway.
Experience different side effects, right? And different levels of period pains. And I love that you touched on that because for me, if I'm going to think of my period, I can go to work. You know, yes, it's a it's a contraction. It feels like a contraction. Look, I don't know how a contraction feels like, but
that's why I'm like,
it's a for a minute, then he will let go. Will let go of me. Then it will come back again, and then so I can function. Thank God. But there are people and ladies who unfortunately don't. There are ladies who vomit. There are ladies who faint. And it's always just like, oh, men, you should be used to this by now.
Yo.
You get it every month.
Oh my word. Yeah, so let's not go there. Right? all the feminists are very upset by this. But this is very common. Like, you raise a very, very good point. And for people like that, I would say seek healthcare advice. There are things that we can do and ways that we can help you. So depending on what symptoms you get, right, there are ways to prevent this. If debilitating pain, right, to the point that you mentioned, if it occurs to that extent where you're on the floor, you're crouching, you can't breathe, then you definitely need to have a full workup done. There are a lot of people who suffer from endometriosis, right, which is one of the causes of severe pain during your menstrual periods, and endometriosis is something that a gynecologist will diagnose, right, and usually the diagnosis is made when they go in laparoscopically, so they put trocars inside you, and it's cameras. Oh, my bad. They put cameras inside of you, and sometimes they actually see the endometrial cells sitting on your reproductive organs outside of your womb, right?
Is it true that the pain that women feel when they experience period pain is equivalent to having a heart attack?
Oh, I thought you were going to say childbirth.
Oh, then I can have a heart attack every month.
No, apparently there's a study that came out. Apparently the pain that women feel when they experience period pains is equivalent to having a heart attack.
So, again, I would say, let's take everything we read with caution, right? I love Dr. Google.
Dr. Google's just going to say it's cancer.
Yes. So it depends. If you're one of those who experiences endometrial pain, you have endometriosis, I can believe that the pain that you suffer is equivalent to the pain of a heart attack. Some people need to be hospitalized when they get severe period pains because it's just so pathological and it's not normal, Then there are heart attacks that are severe, minor, and undetected, like a silent heart attack. So again, even those fluctuate in intensity and severity, Also, if a man is saying it's the same kind of pain, how does he know? Yes.
That you should be used to it.
What is Dr. John saying there?
So it says here, menstrual cramps, or what's this word, Doc?
Dysmenorrhea.
Dysmenorrhea, as it's technically called, has finally been ruled as painful as having a heart attack. Professor of Reproductive Health at University College London, John Gillibard, told Quartz that patients have described the cramping pain as almost as bad as having a heart attack. This was when 27 Feb 2018.
Okay. 2018. Okay.
But then how do we... Okay, I've got too many questions, but I guess those are questions for another day. We're still talking menstrual, right? We're still talking our periods. We all have experienced this. That smell you have after your period.
Or during sometimes.
Or during. Or even before, man. That you can sit on the shower, girl, and you can... But, man.
It doesn't go away.
It just doesn't go away. What is that? Why do we have that?
The smell.
Yeah.
So there are a couple of reasons this happens, right? If we think about what's happening during our periods, right? Your endometrial lining, so the lining of your womb, right, is very disappointed that there's no egg growing there. Right?
Okay, I like how you
Too
put
bad
it.
for you.
So it revolts and it says, well, I'm going to throw my toys out of the cot and I'm going to shed. So you're literally shedding the inside layer of your womb, right? The lining, right? That was preparing for implantation in a fetus. And this process obviously is letting go of blood, right? And the egg. And the blood comes out. But remember, towards the end of your period, when the blood starts trickling, it's not coming out at a continuous flow, right? So it takes a while. And by the time it gets onto your pad, right, or your tampon, it's brown, right? Brown blood is blood that's old, right? And old blood, unfortunately,
Thanks.
Yes, old blood mixed with your vaginal flora, right? Together is a petri dish of odors.
It's a nice perfume.
Yes.
Wow.
But a lot of women start douching at this stage, right? No, that is a big no. Like, absolutely not. You should not be douching. Like,
What is to douche?
douche is when you like maybe take the shower head and like spritz it up there, or you take an actual like device and you put water in it and then you squeeze it up into your
Kupeita.
vagina.
I have never heard
Really? Basically.
your vagina.
Yes.
The things you guys do, eh?
Well, look, we're doing a lot of very fancy things to our vaginas that's not necessary, if you have to ask me.
So douching is a no-no.
You shouldn't douche
Okay.
during your periods.
I
Yes.
didn't-
Should we douche even ever?
At all?
So there is an iodine douche, right? It's medication that your doctor will give you for a specific reason, right? Prescription, right? But this is with clear indication to get rid of something, right?
Okay.
Otherwise, women just like say, oh, cool, I can just take like a bottle and like squeeze it up there. I've seen everything, like a Valpre bottle. And yes, and right into there to flush out stuff.
Yeah,
Yes.
Can I ask something quickly? There's this. I've seen it circulating on Instagram. There's little pearls. I don't know if it's pearls or it's pills or what they call them, yoni pearls or something. The ones that you.
steaming. Let's talk about that.
What's your
quickly.
take on that? Like, is it
And then
a
they
healthy?
say things like that, right? They also say, sorry about that. They also say things like it stops your menstrual pains. It increases things like fertility and outside of braining our vaginas, what other risk factors are there?
So I don't want to bash any brand, so I'm not going
Yeah.
to speak particularly about this brand.
Yeah.
But I will say that the vagina is a self-sufficient organ, right? It doesn't need help unless it's in trouble. And if it's in trouble, right, meaning you come to me.
Okay.
Yes, it is a self-sufficient organ that does not need help.
Ask your
But you
pain.
know the one thing that I've heard of steaming that to me sort of like makes sense is if when you're on your period and you clot a lot. So if you sit like on top of a bucket or something, then it helps the clots to come out. It kind of makes sense. Well, clean water, obviously, it's just the steam of the water to help ease the pain, just almost as like you would put a hot water bottle over here to kind of ease up the pain.
So the steam goes up and hits your cervix, and what does it do? It encourages the clots to come out faster.
I don't know.
Okay, so none of that makes sense in my
Okay.
head.
Okay.
In your medical.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the
yeah,
important
as the
part.
doctor. I mean, that's why we are here.
So let's debunk this a little bit.
Okay.
If we're going to be talking about pain, right? If we're going to be talking about clots, right? If you're bleeding and you have clots, right? That means you have a heavy flow, right? Clots come when there's a lot of blood that pulls together, then it forms a clot, right? If you have a normal trickling flow, it's not going to clot. So clots means you're bleeding excessively, right? And that should be checked out.
Okay.
Okay, that should be checked out. If you're now trying to get rid of clots and take away pain, when we have our periods, when we are menstruating, right, there's a release of things we called prostaglandins. These are hormones that make you, that cause pain, right? So if I had to smack you or cut you here, like, prostaglandins would immediately be released, and that's like what says, listen, there's pain here, and it activates your cycle, things in your blood to come and form a clot and to come and fix you, right? But pain is a warning thing, and it's as a result of prostaglandins, right? Putting steam up your vagina is not going to get rid of pain. The pain is a hormonal thing. It's as a result of the hormones, right? If you want to, like, get rid of pain during your periods, then you can take anti-inflammatories, right? But even with anti-inflammatories, you shouldn't be taking them every month, and you shouldn't be taking the like non-steroidals, right? Which are the things you get like over the counter, because those can ultimately cause ulcers, right? So,
The Nurofen
yes.
that are specifically written for period pains.
Yes. So if you have a predisposition or risk factors for developing like stomach ulcers, then this is going to push over the edge. The biggest problem is grandpa, right? Taking grandpa, because it's effective. It works really well, and people just pop those for 5 days of their period. So 7 days a month, they're popping grandpas or they're popping Nurofens, and then they wait for 3 weeks, and then they pop them again for 7 days. Eventually, you are going to have problems. So again, if you're having debilitating period pains, you go to a doctor, right? And you say, what are my options? What can we do? And then we start talking. We say, okay, let's try this contraceptive. Let's try put in a hormonal implant in your womb, right? That might decrease the pains. If none of this helps, let's take you to theater and let's see if there's endometriosis, you know. Let's see what our options are. Let's give you medication that isn't going to cause ulcers. Because they are those, right? And it's still as effective, right? So people try to self-medicate because, like, for the longest time, they just think that it's normal, right? And sometimes it's not normal. One more thing, though, that I learned, which was like a gem for me, like as a medical student, but it's never, ever really, it's not really publicized, is that by the time the pains come, the hormones are flaring, right? The prostaglandins are everywhere, right? If you stop them before they come, so if you start taking Panado, right, and painkillers a day or two before your periods come, right, that will definitely decrease the intensity of the pain.
Now you're preaching. Preach, sister.
Take
Come
us
on.
to church.
Drop
Take us to
some more
period
gems.
church.
Yes. So that's usually the first thing I try. I say, okay, cool. When you see the breast getting tender, right? When you see like the cravings for the sweets coming, right? And you've got a chart, because I encourage everyone to have a flow app, like chart your menstrual cycle. Then we start experimenting and I say, cool, let's take it 2 days before. Then they'll come back the next month and they'll be like, it worked a little bit. I'm like, okay, maybe we should try a day before, you know, and it's just a case of trial and error. If that doesn't work, they're like, it's completely useless, didn't work for me. Great, move on to plan B. So there's always an algorithm and there's always plan A, B, C, D.
So there's
Love
this
it.
weird craving I have and I just can't seem to stop. Soil.
Oh no, that there's a word for that. It's called Pika, P-I-C-A, right?
Okay.
Desire to eat chalk or soil, right?
Okay.
And usually that's an indication of anemia, right?
Okay.
So anyone who's got like that craving, right? And like,
As well as ice cubes. Hey, I've heard
Yes.
that
Yeah.
as well.
Yes.
Yeah. You're definitely anemic. Who diagnosed you?
it's called Pika.
Okay.
And that's a medical term, and this is something you should definitely check out. So a lot of people would be like, well, I'm not thin, I'm not underweight, I definitely can't be anemic, you know, because there's this misconception. But the truth is, yes, you can. Women are a lot more predisposed to being anemic or suffering from anemia, right, which is low levels of iron, right, because we lose blood every month, and sometimes we lose the blood faster than we're putting it back in. Right.
Okay, I would say, I don't know if it's true. I started my period very early. I was in grade 5.
How old were you?
I think about 9 or 10.
Yes. So the earliest age you could start is about 8.
Oh,
General age is about 11, 10, 11.
But I used to have these painful I feel like I abused my body because I didn't know better. I would literally wake up in the middle of the night and crouch my body like that because it was so painful. I couldn't handle the pain. But I couldn't wake anyone up to say, guys, I'm dying. So I don't know how to deal with period pains till now.
Okay.
Even if I do take Panado, whatever, I still get those. So I'm not sure if it could be in the
Endometriosis.
that or other. So maybe it's time I should have that babspiene.
Yeah, no.
I mean, don't jump at it. No,
No, it's over for you.
So
Maybe.
in this case, though, and I really like that you said this, a lot of people will say, I get such severe period pains. They only come during my periods and then I'm normal and I want a pap smear, right? That's not necessarily an indication for a pap smear, right? In your case, I would try you definitely on the things we mentioned. We start taking the medicine during the symptoms, right? During the PMS, the premenstrual, so pre is before menstruation. When you start getting those symptoms, I would try and take the medication and see if it's better, right? If not, then there are many other options. We can put in a hormonal IUD, and that is used a lot to treat what you couldn't pronounce earlier, dysmenorrhea, painful menstruation. right? And then if that's not a feasible option for you, and if it doesn't work, then we can always try and regulate your hormones, maybe with a combined oral contraceptive, like a pill. But there are ways and means, trust me.
Love that.
While we're still on the pain thing, Doc, are there foods that we should avoid pre-menstrual that will also maybe like kind of assist on pain management, the bloating, the, you know, all of those? Are there foods we should avoid?
So there's not extensive research done on this, but generally, as a rule of thumb, you want to avoid salty foods, right? And that's your crisps, right? Your savory things, which are all the things we crave, right? But you don't want to do that because that causes water retention, right? And already when you're on your period, you're bloated, and this causes more bloating and discomfort. Also, it's just really not good for the figure. So
Well,
I just want to go through with it now.
So those generally you're trying to avoid that, right? You're trying to manage the symptoms before they come. You're also just trying to stick to a regular diet, you know. If you have the craving, have the block of chocolate, you know, if you want it. Have like, I don't believe like in entirely cutting things out.
yeah.
But don't overindulge, right? And remember that like this is going to happen every month, right? Until you either fall pregnant or until you hit menopause, right? So you've got to find a way that's manageable for you.
I love that you mentioned that. And also I love conversations like this as always, because when I speak to doctors, I almost feel like we're intimidated by doctors and we can't ask them questions. So pardon me if I'm about to ask you a very personal question, but I think doctors are also human and need to be humanified.
Yes.
You said you were on a contraceptive as well, right? And did you say it stops your period?
No. So the one that I have doesn't stop my period.
Do we need to have a period, girl?
So
Is it necessary?
I mean, we'd have to ask God this. But
look, if I come to your office, Dr. Kim, and I say, stop this thing, is it a bad thing, guys?
so we can't really stop it per se. There are drugs we can take, yeah, but those aren't safe. And I'm not going to mention how that can be done. Okay. But eventually, like, understand that the reason you're having your period is because evolutionary wise, your body wants you to procreate, right? Your body wants you. And when you get older now and your body says, I'm done, that's it, right? And you hit menopause, then this is a time for you to now rest and stop procreating.
Your body will stop.
Yes,
the
your
period
body
itself.
will stop it. So really, this is a case of evolution, right?
So does it then mean every time, does it mean that when you have your period, you're fertile? Does it mean that seeing...
Good question.
So, no, not necessarily, right? It means that you are menstruating, so you are having the hormonal shifts that allow an egg to pass through, right? And be expelled if you don't fall pregnant. But remember, there's a lot of things that can happen to the reproductive system. So if you've had an untreated STI, sexually transmitted infection, for a couple of years, and it scars your uterine, your fallopian tubes, right? That, unfortunately, could render you infertile. Like, doesn't mean you're fertile. You're still going to be having your periods, right? Because the eggs are still passing through,
But the
right?
damage.
But there's damage, right? Okay. Also, if you've had damage to your ovaries, right? One might be working, one might not. It might be a little bit more difficult for you to fall pregnant. So, no, it's not necessarily equating to fertility. There are women who have their periods every single month, but they can't fall pregnant for years. And those are things that need to be investigated.
And those that,
Okay.
and those that do fall pregnant yet still get their period?
Yeah. Well, I didn't know I was pregnant.
Oh, I wish it doesn't happen to me.
So those cases are like a little bit rare and in between, right? That could be considered as spotting during pregnancy, you know.
So I'm the rare case.
Yes, threatened
You still had your period?
But I'm pretty sure your periods were not a complete flow. I'm pretty sure they were like
So my periods are very disciplined, and they've always been very disciplined. 3 days straight up.
You
At
got
the
favorite.
most-
You.
Yeah, you know, church girl. It comes with the perks.
Yeah.
The really always disciplined 3 days, 4 if maybe, but 3 days strictly. And so recently, I had an ectopic pregnancy. I didn't know I was pregnant because I was still getting my period, and my periods were never heavy. So for me, there was nothing abnormalish about it, because everything was fine. The only thing that was abnormal was the amount of pain I was experiencing.
Okay, so an ectopic pregnancy is a completely different like ball game to
Yeah.
carrying. So an ectopic pregnancy is a pregnancy outside of the womb. So remember, from the ovaries, right? The egg travels through the tubes and then gets into the womb and sits there and waits, right? An ectopic pregnancy is usually a pregnancy where somewhere along the line the egg, right, never got
Into
to
the
the womb.
womb. Yes.
It's sitting in one
In
of
the
the tubes, right?
Diagram here. I'm not quite sure if there we go. James, would you be able to zoom into it? Would you be able to sort of show us like that? I'll hold the mic for you
Thank you.
while you're showing us. So an
Ectopic
ectopic
Yes.
pregnancy, where would baby be sitting?
in the tubes.
Ectopic pregnancy, you have the fetus sitting here, right, in the tubes, in one of these tubes. It could be sitting here, but anywhere along the tube. And then it gets fertilized, right? And you actually have a pregnancy that starts growing inside this tube, right? But you can understand then, right, that you have this going on here. You have symptoms of pregnancy because your body feels like it needs to
I'm going
be
to follow you with, with the mic.
because your body feels like your body's you are pregnant, so your body now starts releasing certain hormones, you know, to
Okay.
encourage this pregnancy to grow, right? But there's nothing in the endometrial lining,
Yeah.
right? So that still is like trying to shed. Okay, so you could still be getting your periods as a result of that, but most people don't, right? Most people will get the symptoms, right, of pregnancy, the tender breast, the morning sickness, and they won't see their periods. But as the pregnancy progresses, and when the sonar scan is done, then they see that there's nothing sitting in the womb, and there's something sitting in the tube. And ectopic pregnancies are really dangerous, like, because remember, it's growing on a daily basis, and the tube is only like a finite diameter. So when that egg ruptures, you could have massive internal bleeding and die. So yes, definitely important to have a sonar scan done as soon as you find out you're pregnant, right? Just to make sure it's a pregnancy that's inside the womb. If you start spotting or you have left or right-sided pain, like during your pregnancy, then it's definitely important to go make sure it's not an ectopic, right? Because pain on this side or on this side means it could be sitting in this tube or that one.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm always ready to call out our privilege in this table. And we talk about periods as a pleasant thing because you're able to get through it, right? And you're able to get through it well, comfortably. Some of us don't want it, but it's not that when it's here, I'm unable to nurse it, for
Yeah.
lack of a better word. And we don't talk about that enough. We don't talk about this privilege of the tampon that you can get at any time, the pad that you can get at any time. Do you know what I mean? There's all these, and when we're at school, we're only being given two options. It's the pad. Actually, one option. There we go. It's the pad and wear your tights over it. But there's so many other ways that we could secrete, well, to catch the secretion of the blood, right? I've recently moved to the cup. And I was an advocate and I said, guys, let's go get the cup. I think the cup is something we should be doing. I'm anti-pad runs because you guys only just go to the school and you deliver 2 packs to this girl who's been struggling, and then you leave, you go to the other one and never come back the next month to give her the two pads again. Because fact is, our periods, guys, don't sit here and go in packs and don't say, oh, you've got one pack today, let me give you. Do you know what I mean? So we get to a point where there's ladies who overuse their pads because there's only so much of it left. But also, once again, this privilege I speak of when I said the cup, guys, the cup, you can reuse it. It gives you over 5 years and blah, 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 blah. Except it needs water. It needs hot water. And we think we've got running water. And everybody has that privilege of running water and hot water. And that's not the case. How many, for you, what would you say is the most effective, what do they call it? I need a word for all these things, for your pads, your
Sanitary options.
Sanitary options that we could use for our periods. Like I said, for me, I started with a pad, night pad that reaches your back, honey. And I moved, right? And that's what I was taught in school. And I'm glad because it was a more comfortable option. Then I went for the tampon. The tampon started getting uncomfortable for me simply because I was tired of that string. It just wasn't working for me. Then I went chakra. Then I decided, you know what? I'm actually going to use the cup. And the cup gave me the ability to see my blood. So I'm able to see it. I'm able to sort of monitor it. I'm able to see how much blood I went from the first day to the last day. Do you know what I mean? And it's very, very comfortable. For you, what would you say is the most comfortable option for you?
Really, the discussion about like what the most comfortable option is again a matter
Very
of privilege,
subjective, hey?
right? So in preparation for like this talk with you guys today, I was actually reading, and they are like, it's called Menstrual Hygiene, right? They are slide shares, and they are countries where they don't even discuss pads because the pad is not an option. We're talking rural villages in Upper Africa, right? And if that's the case, like, then what I would advocate for is a clean cloth, like 2 or 3, which you can like wash regularly and which you can line yourself with, right? We don't always know the struggles that people face, but I have seen girls come to the hospitals where I've worked in the past with face cloths, you know, and they've got like 2 or 3 sitting there, like, and this is the option that they use because they can't afford pads, right? And unfortunately, it's a reality, but depending on like how often you change your sanitary option, your pad, your tampon, your cloth, right, that will determine a lot of your actual health. A lot of women get genitourinary, so like UTI, urinary tract infections, because they overwear their sanitary pads or tampons.
TSS.
Or cloths.
Yeah.
I once met a girl who used newspapers.
I mean, this is not shocking to me.
Continue.
we are in a very like we're in a developing country, right? There's only a finite amount of individuals who can afford to go and buy these sanitary pads, and really, like, I think more than anything, we should be talking about what plan B is if I don't have money.
Yeah.
What's plan B?
I've seen your Mr. Price and I've seen your cotton ons. In fact, and I'm so glad we've got our sales lady here. And sorry, I'm just going to deviate a bit because this is actually just something I think we should all stand up for. We've seen your Mr. Price, we've seen your cotton ons come up and say we've got period panties, so they don't need to wear pads. And I can imagine a lot of young ladies are listening here or are watching here and unfortunately unable to afford. I'm pledging, and the podcast, in fact, we're pledging to come through and deliver or donate sanitary underwears. Because I think that's important.
I think it's important. I think it's a lot more sustainable. It's eco-friendly.
You can wash it.
Exactly.
etc. I implore, in fact, our sales lady to go to these companies and we push this. The narrative of pad drives is not sustainable.
Yes.
And because we can go to every single school and deliver them and take pictures and it's great. But if we're being honest, what happens to that girl the following day?
Yes.
None of us are being taught that. So sorry, quickly. We pledge as the ladies on the podcast. Via, I hope you come through. our sales lady, I hope you come through as well. And for all the chillers as well, also, if you want to be part of this and you want to donate this, I think it's a very, very important cause to donate to. We can sit here. I mean, there isn't a really long-term solution to this. I mean, these underwears also, there's only so much and so many times you can use it,
But I mean,
however many years.
Even if we can help one person, that's a difference
That's
in one
enough.
person's life, you know?
That's what we're doing for this conversation, actually. Please,
I
James,
love
please
it.
write it down on the email. Maybe, look, I didn't even prepare for this one. Maybe we'll do it for the sales email, right? Use our sales email to put it down there if you want to donate as well. If you're a private company, you want to donate for those underwears. All we're buying is not pads. We're buying menstrual.
Yes.
Libisole, what's happening? Menstrual. I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Menstrual.
Menstrual
panties.
underwear.
Yeah.
And I think that is important. We're going to pass them out. This is in every size. So please, to the ladies who feel like maybe I'm too small or maybe I'm too big. No, you're not. That's actually what we're going to do, because we're not going to sit back and say, we should do a pad drive. And as women, we know that our pads
Yes.
actually don't last that
I
long.
love it. I am
Yeah.
Come on, so sorry I disrupted you.
I continue. I'll remember.
No, okay, so while we're still on hygiene down there, is it safe for us, like if we're sitting here now and I'm like, my period just started, and I run to the bathroom and I quickly grab toilet paper and I put it in my underwear. Is that a safe thing to do?
I mean, you don't have a choice, right? It's not ideal because toilet paper, depending on the type and the brand you get, can be very abrasive.
What type
Right.
do you use here at Red Cherry?
Emergency! But it's for a short time. It's not a long time.
Yeah, it's not a long time. Usually this is just a plugging method,
Yeah.
like until you can find a more sustainable means to carry you through the next couple of days.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, I like that. How long do we have to put on the tampon? I know there's TSS, toxic shock syndrome.
Yes.
And that you get from either having your tampon in for too long or what. Let's talk about that. How long would that take me for me to actually have a pad the right time? Because my cup, honey,
Yes.
just obviously after just before 12 hours, I'll obviously just yank it off.
Yeah.
But truly, I don't have to. That's why I stopped using tampons, because I can't do the every 2 hours, every 4 hours. No. So for a tampon, for those who are still using tampons as a method, how long can I have it on for? And the pad, how long can I have it on for?
So rule of thumb is 4 to 6 hours that you can have the tampon or the pad on for, right? Anything after that becomes deleterious to your health.
Deleterious, dog. Come on.
We need the word that is written out in big.
Yeah, we're going to need a little
Deleterious.
definition.
Today we're in
Okay.
med school.
Oh, no, guys. Okay. So essentially what I'm saying is there is flora down there, there's bacteria, there's blood, like bacteria feed on blood. You're growing a petri dish if you keep it for more than 6 hours, okay? And you are the amount of bacteria is accumulating either on the pad or in the tampon, right? And you need to just remove it, throw it away, and start again.
I think I've never known how to use a tampon, because every time I went to pee, that thing would be full. So I don't know how.
Then it's your flow. Maybe it's your flow.
Full.
And maybe you're using the wrong size. So there are
Huh.
numerous
Size do you use?
sizes.
I get it.
Okay.
Small,
Medium.
Medium.
super.
So then
Medium.
you need a super. Get one for. So if you look on tampon boxes, you'll see those little. There's usually 4 to 5
Tier-
tiers,
yeah.
right? And they're colored in. If it's 2 little tiers cut or drops colored in, then you know that this is for light flow, medium flow. If they're all colored in, for heavy flow, try heavy flow.
Can a tampon get lost inside?
Absolutely. And it doesn't get lost. It just becomes a little bit difficult to reach and forgotten about.
Yay!
The forgetting of that tampon. is-
Yes. So
wow, yeah.
usually how that happens is somebody will put a tampon in, right? Then they'll go to the bathroom and forget it's there and put another one on top of it.
Oh.
And then
Or
for
have sex.
And then for the next
And it
couple
goes
of
up there.
days, they're pulling out the first tampon, and the one that they forgot about up there is stuck, right? And then like eventually there's like a weird smell, or they develop toxic shock syndrome, right? And then they wait for a long time and it's still stuck up there, and then they're like, this smell is really bad.
Yes.
Really, really bad. And then they go to gynae, right? Or sometimes they discover it while they're having sex, and then they pull it out.
Or taking a dump. A friend of mine forgot her tampon. In fact, it's so nice. Just last week, she forgot her tampon inside her for days. And she's just like, nah, dog. There is a smell up in this bitch. And I don't know what it is. And she just kept thinking, it's after period smell. Do you know what I mean? She kept thinking, no, it's after period. Hi, but still. She's like, there wasn't necessarily discharge coming out, but just like watery substance that stinks.
Yes.
And she said, had I not gone to take a dump that day, because it just fell out, lucky her, not everybody has the same privilege, she would have never known. She's like, the following day, she's like, I'm back to normal. I smell normal again.
I mean, it's quite common.
Why the smell?
Again, because it's anything that is rotting away. Yes, it's the bacteria, it's your bacteria, it's the blood. All of that is accumulating to create a smell. Right, there's discharge. Speaking of which, some people actually put tampons in there because they've got vaginal discharge and they just don't want to wear panty liners. So they continuously, on a day-to-day basis, just wear tampons, to accumulate and entrap this discharge that they don't like. But anyone who's doing that needs to go and have their vagina checked and their reproductive system checked, because it's not normal to have discharge that you need to
wear a tampon for.
Yes, and it's just basically masking a problem. Okay.
Okay. Now, something that we touched on the previous episode when we were talking about having sex during your menstruation, right? Say now you're having protected sex during your menstruation. So I've found it when I did it, I no longer do it.
Sure. Sure, for the purposes of this conversation and all intent.
No. Do you know how many things change when you become a mom? I promise you. Life becomes the past, simply because it gave me such relief down here. It was the most soothing thing that could ever happen to me. If I have intercourse during my menstruation, after it,
Hami, I believe in laying the towel, dog. And I'm sorry, before you even say what you're going to say, honestly, sex during your periods is lovely.
Yes.
So how are you going to ruin my day today?
I'm not going to ruin it at all. If your partner is okay with you having sex, even if he's not okay, you can pleasure yourself, during your periods. Your body and the hormones are literally in a last-ditch attempt saying, please do something.
Time.
Please.
yeah,
Do you get horny as well?
Sex during periods. I hate it.
No, now the only thing that puts me off now is really the smell. But I promise you, the comfort, the relief.
Take a shower before.
The smell is there, though.
I just hate
What
it.
smell are you talking about? Is it the
The
smell of
bloody-
blood?
The smell of blood.
No. I don't want somebody else to smell that now.
Why are you being... You see,
That's
this is why
okay.
we're having these discussions, right? Because we create stigmas around our own natural bodies,
that's what I
natural
did
physiology,
myself.
right? This is a normal process. Blood is the smell of blood. You know what you signed up for when we got into the bed, right? It's your choice then.
And I love it, guys. During that time,
It's not your job to be self-conscious, right, about your the things your body is doing naturally, right? If your partner has a problem with it, then he'll say, sorry, I'm not going to do it. But unless he's mentioned it, then just carry on. Remember, he's deriving pleasure from this with or without a smell.
100%.
Yes.
It's wet now. Now you gotta wash. Oh, Doc, it's been such a lovely conversation, and I love that we're having these conversations and we're opening them up and making this a safe space. Ladies, even the gents who are unaware, you can go on the comment section as well and share your experiences. Even in the last video, you can also do the same thing and share your experiences. Like we said, it's an open space. We've shared our experiences. Doc, parting shots when it comes to period health?
Parting shots would be change your tampon regularly, don't douche, don't overindulge in the salty things.
Can I wax while I'm on my period?
Oh, that's a whole topic. Can I 2 minutes?
Okay, quick one.
So your skin is a lot more sensitive during your periods. Remember when we spoke about prostaglandins, right? Those things that cause inflammation, they're circulating in your entire body, and they just make you more sensitive to like pain. So it's not a great idea. Yes, it's safe if you put in a tampon and you're clean and your aesthetician is happy to wax you, then go wax, but it's going to be a little bit more painful.
Even 7 days after, because I heard 7 days prior and after, it's not a good idea because of the sensitive skin.
I would usually say up to 7 days afterwards, remember. So when you start getting the period pains, right, is usually when the prostaglandins are floating around. And once that's sorted out, you're good to go.
Distracted you once again. Sorry, you were still telling us your parting shots about period health.
No douching, no salty things. And don't forget to wash your hands, please, before and after changing your stuff.
Ladies? You want to say
something the doc said just now? We should stop being shy about talking about things that naturally occur.
Yes.
That's what creates all this stigma and the victimization and all these things around sex, menstrual health, family planning, everything that we've covered that Via has come through for us. So guys, when it's natural, don't be shy about it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ladies. I think I love that we had these conversations.
Yeah.
And there's no better people to have this conversation with.
Thank you, guys.
It was on the table. Thank you so much to Via as well. Via.health, that's their website. You can go visit them. And it's Via Health ZA. That's on all social media platforms. Conversations like this are safe for you to have on their platforms. Questions, you can ask them. They're there to answer you. I saw also they've got many, many conversations that are varied and that are open, that really, really do relate to us when it comes to our sexual health as well as sexual arousal. Yes.
And we encourage you to like get the conversations going in the comment section. Like, let's not be shy and go into the DMs. Like, let's actively comment and like engage with each other in the comments.
Do you have a social media handle? Maybe no consultations, but
yes.
You know, if they have a question or two.
It's Dr._Kim.
No
Kardashian.
consultations. No
and if
consultations.
they are looking for you for consultations, where can they find you?
They can find me at my practice. I'm at Health Hub Medical Solutions, and we're in Mill Park, and we're also on Instagram, Health Hub Medical Solutions.
Oh,
Thank you.
do you have
Then
solutions for
they
men?
can call in.
For everyone.
Okay.
There we go.
Le prevent, luna, men.
It's been an awesome episode. Thank you so much. My name is Tepi.
Black Velvet.
Church girl.
Dr. Kim.
There we go.
Yeah,
It's been on the table. We're outie.